Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Long Play Podcast, hosted by Jangara and
Olango.
And we are a couple. Actually, we have a son together, and as creatives, we want to be able to one, create our art, and two, live off of our art, and three, be fulfilled by that setup.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I feel like we're actually doing this is so that we can, most importantly as well, be able to inspire creatives who are already practicing or aspiring to practice actively in the creative space so that they can be able to actually share their art, live off of their art, and expand the depths to which their art can get them to, basically. So this is really super.
Are you gonna run through all of the points for this video in the first 3 minutes? Is that what you're going to do right now? Because this video is meant to be a why video. Why are we doing this? And I'm just watching you, Olango, just go through all of the whys very quickly. So, first of all, before we get into the why of why we have this podcast and why we're doing this, let's get into who we are. I think it's nice for you guys to know who we are, and also we would love to know who you guys are. So
Comment
if you have
section.
a second, if you have, honestly, genuinely, like if you have a second, we will read it. We love comments. Let us know who you are. So, Olango. What does the name Olango mean?
I don't know.
You didn't see that coming as a question, did ya? But you do know what Olango means.
I've given it my own definition based off of
Okay.
the different stems of it. Like if you take the two O's away, the O at the beginning and the O at the end, then you have lang, which is basically a word meaning nilots.
See.
Actually, lango is what means nilots, not lang. But like lango is basically
Okay.
what we refer to as the Maasais, the Nandis,
The Luos,
Yeah.
Nilots, the Nilotic.
But mostly the Highland Nilots. That's mostly like
Okay.
the Maasais, the Nandis, and also we call them the Lango, Jolango.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I had no idea.
And Lang is basically, now if you take the other O out, then Lang becomes your followers or people who journey with you, basically. So now,
Okay.
one of the things I like saying is if you take two O's from it, which if you are attentive in chemistry and biology classes, that's oxygen, then Lang can't be able to live without oxygen. So
Those
I
are
don't know.
actually lyrics for a song that he has rapped in, that he's spitting to us right now.
I don't know if I've answered. Like I actually don't have like
I
a
think,
full
no, actually, I feel like that's a great answer. It is what you give me, the meaning that you've
that
given
I
to your
give
name.
to my name.
Yeah. So, what are you about? Who are you?
Change. Hakuna msee atakusaidia, ukijisaidia atakukazia, isi mshuto, mimi nasafisha hewa.
What am I about? So basically, I believe I'm about fulfilling my God-given purpose on earth. And that's, of course, be the greatest reflection of that, of the God-given purpose, which is being the greatest reflection of God or God in nature. And one of the things that I feel is closely tied to that in this specific period of my life is really talent development, is really, of course, artistic expression and being creative. But yes, those
Through
two.
music, drawing, what else? Collage making.
Being creative in,
Yeah, because I want to, like, you know, we want to know the things that are specific to you right now that you do, as apart from just a general creative. Of course, you can venture into any creative space, obviously.
I feel, okay, so creativity is really, okay, cool. There's the creative that we know as the artistic creative, but through talent development, I'm actually realizing there's a lot of creativity in that as well. It's just a different kind of creative expression in that, I'm solving problems that pre-exist in the society, but I'm looking for creative ways to actually solve the problem. So I'm basically living my full potential as a creative, or I'm aiming to live my fullest, most potential as a creative, and not choosing to tie it to just the artistic creative expression. That's, your painting, your drawing, your rapping, singing, whatever music instruments, but any other extent that this purpose will actually lead me to. And I'll be honest, every single day I learn something different creatively.
I agree.
So
I feel that for sure. Yeah, so anyway, the question really was, what are the creative pursuits that you particularly enjoy in this particular phase of your life? We know that those things change, but what would you say right now you really enjoy creating?
Art. I enjoy creating art. I enjoy creating different forms of art. Audio art, that's your music, composing, whether it's by instruments or it's actually through voice, voice is an instrument, or visual art. I enjoy drawing murals, I enjoy making collages, I enjoy making digital art, and I enjoy editing as well. Yeah.
Cool.
How about you? Who are you? Wait. What does Jangara mean?
Jangara, from the tribe that I'm from, it directly translates to a person from Ngara. But I have this feeling that that's not really what it means. Yeah. I mean, genuinely, I feel like it doesn't really mean a person from Ngara. I feel like I don't really know what it means. I wish my parents knew what it means. But nobody seems to know. I think it was just passed down through great-great-grandfather, great. And now it's kind of just like a...
And what's the reason you're choosing to give it? What's the meaning you're choosing to give it?
I don't have any meaning attached to the name. You know how people usually say that you have a spiritual name? Did you find that really interesting? I don't know if you know about this thing, but people say your name, for instance, like my name, Michelle Jangara, is the name that I was given when I came into this earth by the mother who, God has blessed me with. But I have a spiritual name that the angels and God and just the spiritual beings recognize. It's just a thing. I don't know whether or not
that.
I know, but I'm I would love to know my spiritual name. But anyway, I digress.
Connect deeper with the spirit.
Let's see. So anyway, where was I? Yeah, so my name is Jangara. You can call me Michelle, you can call me Jangara, you can call me Michelle Jangara. I am a creative. I love to create art as well. And my particular choice of art at this particular point in my life is dance. I enjoy dancing very, very much. Physical movement is very important to me, not just for the sake of exercise, but also it feels great. So, okay. And then the other thing that I really enjoy is storytelling. I love storytelling. When I was in pre-unit, when I was a tiny toddler, I used to tell stories in school. They would, it was pre-unit, I believe, and the teacher would always send me in front of the class to give a story. And I would always enthusiastically give that story. And I remember one time, this is at the back of my memory, I don't know how I have it, but I do remember being asked to say it again, to share the story again because of how much people enjoyed it. And I carried that habit well into my lower primary years. And I used to tell my friends stories. I used to pretend it's movies I watched. I tell them stories about, this person and that person and certain things happening. So I know I've always been a storyteller. And right now, the avenue I'm using to tell my stories is audiovisual media, videos, and audio together, like this podcast. I love to edit our podcast. We actually both edit this podcast, which is great. And I just love to intertwine the stories, make nice shorts. I do the same thing for clients as well. So I'm a storyteller at heart. I love stories more than anything, and I just enjoy living life.
That's cool. Why did you choose to actually do or take part or bring to life this podcast?
Because I was longing for a space where I could talk about the things that I felt were important to me. And because I had the longing to connect to other people who feel that those things are important to them as well. I just love the idea of having a space where we can just sit like this and talk. And discuss, this, that, creative economy, this, photographers, artists, whatever. I love that. And so this feels like something that comes really, really naturally to me. And something that I would do regardless of whether or not it brought in money. And because I've made a conscious decision right now in my life to do the things that I love, this is one of them.
I see.
Yeah. We should have Googled questions to ask someone like the first time so that we just do like a quick fire.
No, it's cool. I think why I chose to be a part of this podcast is I want to be able to fill the gaps that I was searching for when I was starting out my career, There's so many things that rightfully, yes, I've learned in the job. Let me just shut the door.
Guys, there's a lot of noises today in our compound, at our house, but we shall not be stopped. We shall not be... Okay, they're not trying to stop us, but yeah, we'll keep on going. So you were saying that you wanted to fill the gaps.
I'm trying to look for the right terminology for it, but basically, the concept is when you're young and you don't have access to something, when you grow older and you have access to certain resources, then you go after the thing that you were looking for when you were younger. I feel like I didn't have access to a lot of information in terms of how to properly structure my creative endeavors and enterprises at a young age. I remember one of the most valuable thing that I had been told was register a company. And this was when I was maybe 23, 22. But it was at an event. And I was fortunate enough to have had a relationship with the person who was curating the event. And that was their first event. And I was also planning out my event. And what he told me was the first thing that you need to do actually is get a lawyer, register a company. Of course, things have changed since then. Registering is a lot easier in different countries in the world. Though, of course, I wouldn't advise you against actually consulting somebody who's done this a lot more, just to be able to know the different segments that you can be able to register, or different institutions you can be able to register. For lack of a better word, I'll use institutions. But I wish so many of my peers had the same level of access.
Absolutely.
Because then it would have been easier for us to sort of grow
all together as an industry.
So there wasn't much information, especially as a Black African kid, a Kenyan kid. There wasn't much information that focused on the business of the art, or on the development of business skills, on the development of business practices, both individual and, just revenue generating practices that I could be able to just easily go and Google or YouTube to get information. So it's a gap that I know if I was curious enough at a younger age, I'm sure there's a lot more people who are curious, and not just a younger age, but there's a lot more people who are curious even at this age on how to be able to, my age and even older, on how to be able to maneuver certain intricacies in terms of just developing or forging a successful career and launching a successful career, and things like changing mindsets, how to network, financial literacy and all those things. So that's why I chose to basically do this podcast. Yeah.
I agree. Like, that's definitely one of the reasons why I'm doing this as well. And really because I'm learning as well. So some of the topics that we have to tackle when we come onto this podcast are things that we have to read about beforehand. We have to be intentional about it. So we have to read. We have to tap into our past experiences to see what those past experiences taught us. And being able to bring those things up during this podcast allows us to actually just learn, collect data from things that we've experienced, from things that other people have experienced, and come to a conclusion about it. So, yeah, I agree with that 100%. Another reason why this podcast is important is just to continue fostering the creative community.
Yep.
So you never feel like you're alone in whatever it is that you're going through. To be able to make this industry flourish. Because right now it is flourishing. Like right now I feel like the world has changed so much from when we were like 2 years old. Because right now you can see that with all of the social platforms, AI coming through, that art is about to change, and the creation of it, how it's approached is about to change. Information is so readily available to a lot more people than it ever was before, and will continue to be so with AI. And so the creative economy is going to change, very much so. And all of us are going to need help on how to navigate such a space, And I feel like this can be a space that we can converge and discuss ways to maneuver that space. Because it's ever evolving. Like what the Gen Zs are doing right now on TikTok, what they're doing right now on YouTube, etc., is different from what we did as millennials when we were like 20. For instance, I worked at a production company that created like video content for YouTube, for Facebook, and Instagram at that time. This must have been back in, like, I think 5 years from today, like 5 years ago. And it was really wonderful. Like, we used to create a lot of content. We used to upload we used to upload every single day. Every day there would be a video out. It's not even a joke. Like, we were grinding. But the soil, if I'm really, really honest, the soil wasn't as fertile as it is now. That production company unfortunately closed down after 3 years because they weren't able to see the right kind of profits. And I think the investors, it was a startup, so the investors were getting a little fatigued waiting for this thing to like bear fruits. I think that's the story. That's the story we were sold. So hey, but looking at the creative space right now, I'm like, oh my goodness, if what we were doing back then we could do it now, we would prosper in less than a year, or if the company still stayed on and continued to make content, right now it would be blooming beyond what we can believe.
Resilience.
But the creative space was kind of different that time compared to now. And now is just such a great time to connect and to see what we can do in the creative economy.
Yeah, and the thing that's fascinating, actually one of the reasons as well, one of the key reasons as well is, of course, to not just think or not just approach it in terms of the actual underlying art creation, but to creatively maneuver the industry aspect of it.
Yeah.
So because the rest of the world is actually adapting. I read the other day, Safaricom just introduced this thing called Safaricom Hook.
Okay.
which basically targets from the name hook. Like
Hook 'em.
exactly, which basically targets Gen Zs up to probably like the age of 24. And there's things that are as specific as you can actually be able to make your own data deal.
I see.
And it's specific to, you choose like what one platform works for you, and that data deal then applies for
To
that
that one platform.
So like as in the infrastructure that's also growing around the creative economy, in terms of the other industries are adapting, are starting to actually evolve to accommodate this industry. So it's actually, like you said, like it's actually a prime time to be able to then see how, as a creative industry, we can also leverage, you know, the content creations and all those things that we do, how we can be able to sort of like grow that so that it works for us and works for the larger economy. Because
100.
the creative industry, we did a video on networking. You should check it out. It's amazing. It's gonna change your life. But like basically the creative industry needs to network with other industries to be able to develop the economy. You know, that's the goal, for us to be able to rid off of things such as, you know, the things that ridicule man, you know, your unemployments or your economic crisis, which I don't believe there's anything such as that if we actually just put together the appropriate dots, you know. So that's actually one of the other reasons. Yeah, you said, yes, establishing a community. So that means communicating and letting you guys know also like what's happening, so that you can be able to maneuver as well and think outside the box. I think in another video that we did, financial literacy, another one, embracing financial literacy for artistic growth, another video you should really check out. Yes, definitely, honestly, it will change your life. But I remember there's something that I pointed out in that video with regards to banks, you know, and I remember saying basically they are capital clubs, or they use your capital to invest in other ventures. And you know, so basically the idea is, how are you able to tap into that? How are you able to tap into that capital so that you're also able to invest not just what you've invested in that bank, but what other people have invested in that bank, to create your, or to enlarge or to enhance your creative endeavor, you know. But like basically how you're able to make the creative space one of the places where, when the banks have gotten all those people to save with them and they need to invest all this capital that they have, how are we able to then make the creative industry one of the places it taps into in searching for investment, you know. So basically it's not, it's a lot really. It's important, it's great information, it's informative, relevant to what's happening. The other day, and this is now even in the creative aspect, I saw an artist who, you know, the TikTok transitions where you can change your outfit.
Yes.
There's an artist who performed live on stage and did that TikTok transition. Like changed out, like...
Send me these links. Send me these
yeah,
links.
you know, but so being able to, and I know we'll discuss those even in like in future videos with regards to like how you can be able to actually just offer value in your artistic practice, and what you can be able to do, certain tricks that you can be able to do to offer value in your artistic space. Some of them have actually worked for me, you know, being 100%, like there's things that I learned and I've practiced them and I've studied for years and I've practiced them, and they've actually changed my life, because the value I am offering now is different from the value I was offering when I started out in the creative space, because I was simply just playing a guitar. Now, like you mentioned in my intro, like there's so many facets you know, in terms of value that I can be able to offer. So our intention is actually to be able to grow, and that's hence the talent development, to be able to sort of just develop your talent to the next level so that you can be able to be of value
and be the best you can be.
Yeah, be of value,
yeah.
play high impact, and have
Be
high
the
value
best.
interactions as well. Yeah.
Another reason why we're doing this, this is obviously a personal reason for both of us, but we are two creatives who are life partners. We're doing life together, and we're two creatives. Initially, we were kind of doing our own thing. He was just kind of creating his own content, and I was creating my own content, but we didn't have a place where we were coming together to create something together. And if you're passionate about the creative economy and creatives, there's a lot of working together that has to happen. So therefore, we cannot keep preaching this, let's come together, let's partner, let's collaborate, when we live in the same house and don't even do that. And we looked at our skill sets. We have very similar skill sets. He can edit, I can edit. He can shoot, I can shoot. He can rap, I cannot rap. But can play the guitar, I cannot play the guitar. But like a lot of the skill sets that we have, most of them are complementary. And we thought to ourselves, why not do something together? Of course, I was, maybe both of us, but like I was hesitant, because you know what people say. You know, you want to start like working really closely with your partner. What if you guys break up? What if something happens and you guys are mad at each other? Then it starts to leak into your thing that you're doing together. Oh, don't do businesses with your wife / or with your husband or life partner, whatever.
What
And-
if, my question to that has always been, what if it actually works?
What if it actually works?
Yeah, what if it becomes super successful?
And what if you're not afraid of if it doesn't work? You see, the thing is, we're just afraid of failure. We keep running away from failure. It is okay, at least you gave it a shot. That's what I would say. But I really do believe in you've gained something. Whether you did it for 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, you still gained something. It was still worth the time. And for us to be two brilliant creatives in this house, I feel like it was imperative that we do something together. Something that we are both passionate about, and something that can also help us to create wealth for our home, for ourselves, and for our child. So this podcast really, as you guys can see by now, really does mean a lot to us.
I think one other thing just to add to that, and also the fact that we are a couple doing this together, one of the things that I know is going to be of impact, it might not be the, talent development or business development or anything like that, but the fact that we are a couple, the family unit is working together and working stronger to be able to grow.
Yeah.
May future generations be able to track back and see that family can work, family does work, and that there's success stories as well in families. All these legacies that we see worldwide, literally royalty families doing what country, first family institute, they're all based on the family structure. So let it be known that outside of what is fed
to us,
that
the fear mongering that if you're working within family, you're working with a life partner or a husband or a wife, that it's going to go down in shambles.
Let it be known that it's not true. There's actually, of course, I have to be the best version of myself. She has to be the best version of herself for us to be able to complement one another. But let this video also impact future generations, future kings and queens, not future. Kings and queens there as well, to see that kingdom, that royalty that you seek in coming together is actually possible,
Yeah, absolutely. And I really love what you've said, which is if you actually open your eyes and just look, you will see that there's a lot of family structures who have built businesses and created wealth within the family and even have generational wealth for their children. And in Kenya, which is the country that we live in, you can see this a lot in the Indian community. Like in America, you can see it a lot in the Jewish community. There's very many different places where if you really open your eyes, you will see that people in families are coming together and just trusting each other to build something together. That's such a powerful thing, because honestly, doing it together is so much way better.
And it's actually easier. You move
easier.
faster. Yeah, and I guess that's actually one of the topics we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Collaboration and how to be able to enhance collaboration for your artistic growth, how to be able to find the right people to, I mean, of course we did the networking thing, but like how to be able to sort of leverage your strengths and your collaborators' strengths to be able to make one big moving machinery. At the end of the day, industry is not one company. Industry is not one individual. Industry is a couple of institutions with a shared goal or a shared purpose that comes together. That's why they say the health industry. That's why they say what other industry? Music industry. That's why they say the telecommunication industry. People,
the mining industry.
Exactly. So then at the core of it, let this actually emanate that.
Yeah, those are the reasons why we're doing this podcast. And
if you've been following Jamhuri from a while and you're wondering what happened to the music that you guys used to do and now you're just doing podcasts. Actually, we're not just doing podcasts, we're still doing a lot of events. We're still working closely with artists at different capacities. Some aren't our own, under our own umbrella. Some are in collaboration with artists. Some are under our own umbrella. Actually, follow us on all the other platforms just to keep abreast of what we are doing, all the activities we're doing, all the webinars we're doing, all the events, all the performances that we're putting together or that we're part of.
So thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with us on this episode. Please watch our other videos. Let us know what you think. And remember to let us know who you are in the comment section.
Fair enough. Subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Ciao.
Bye.